Hey there, everyone. It's Wendy Guth here, and Crystal's taking some well-deserved time to rest and recover after surgery. So this week, we're revisiting one of our favorite conversations from the SAVOUR Summit. And I'm thrilled to welcome Nicole Lewis-Keeber, a business therapist, coach, and certified Dare to Lead facilitator who helps trauma-conscious entrepreneurs build emotionally sustainable businesses. You'll hear how our unhealed experiences shape the way we lead, why mindset work isn't enough, and how to create a healthier relationship with your business. It's such a powerful conversation. So I'm really excited to share this with you, and let's dive in. Hello, and thank you for joining us. As part of our first day, we are digging into the importance of self-awareness in creating our most authentic business. So I am very excited to have with us today Nicole Lewis-Keeber, a business therapist, coach, and author of How to Love Your Business, and founder of Love Your Business School for trauma-conscious business owners. And I also know you as a certified Dare to Lead facilitator, which is a program based on the research of Brene Brown.
Mhm.
So before we dig into answering the questions, if you don't know yourself, how do you know your business? Could you share about your story, your journey that has led us to here today?
Mhm. Yeah. So, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be here. I really
So
appreciate it.
glad you're here.
Yeah. It's always the question of like, what got you here? I think with all of us, it's the thread that goes through all things, including, our businesses and lives and where we are now. And I would say probably the short answer to that is that I grew up being on the margin. Grew up with a learning difference and I had some processing stuff. So I grew up in a household, in an environment, at school, all the things where I felt unseen, unheard, unacknowledged,
Mhm.
and the beauty of that is that it created amazing skill sets for me in my life. But the challenge was that I always felt unseen, unheard and all those things. So because of those experiences, it really led me to have a curiosity about how people operate and why they do what they
Mhm.
do and how I could change how I feel about it. And so it obviously led me into a career to be a therapist because I have a master's degree in social work. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And for about 18 years, I was in direct practice, either as a therapist, a clinical supervisor. I worked in every community you can imagine, from
Mhm.
military to employee assistance, substance abuse, mental health, all of it, except for children. I knew my heart. I just knew I could never work with kids. But, that curiosity about, okay, well, why do I feel this way? And why do I see people behaving in these ways? I really want to understand it so I can help others. And so it led me into that profession. And I did that for 18 years before I became really burnt out
Mhm.
because, as you can imagine, I'm sure you probably experienced too, that in service-based and helping professions, we are not taught to take care of ourselves.
No, exactly.
No, it's almost a part of it is almost like you have gone into this field because you want to help people. You've kind of taken a vow of poverty, really, as a social worker. I did. And so the expectation is that other people should come first,
Mhm.
right? And we aren't taught the support, self-support. And so I did burn out and ended up
Mhm.
leaving the field of direct practice and eventually found myself in the coaching
Mm.
industry, which is where I have been forging my own way within the coaching world for about 10 years.
So tell us a little bit about your coaching business. So it's trauma based.
Yeah.
The thing that really comes into mind is have you taken your skills as a social worker
Hmm.
and been able to carry them over to coaching?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah, of course.
and
Of course.
and I find that really interesting because this is one question that I've always wanted to ask is for those coaches or people who work with coaches who are not social workers or therapists, yet dabble
Mhm.
in trauma related areas. How do you respond to that? Or how do
Yeah.
you see that?
Yeah. So the kind of the long answer is that, as a therapist, when I looked at the coaching industry, I didn't have respect for it, I'll be honest.
Mhm,
And then when I left the therapy world, I worked with my own life coach. I think she was certified through Martha Beck, maybe.
mhm,
And
okay,
I saw what was possible and I got really curious about it. And I was like, okay, so
mhm,
maybe there is something here to this
mhm,
within a scope of practice.
sure,
And so when I got certified in money, like a money mindset certification for coaching
okay.
because I knew it was an area I needed work in because again,
Mhm,
social worker, valid poverty. But what I began to see in doing that work and then working with the clients I was working with, they were entrepreneurs and small business owners, is
mhm,
that I understood that my stuff around money, not only was it conditioning and it really wasn't mindset as much as it was a trauma response or a trauma
mm,
adaptation from childhood. And so
mhm,
I began to see that with my clients as well. And so it opened up the idea for me like, because I'm a therapist and I've done this, I recognize trauma. I recognize
right.
trauma patterns. I recognize how people adapt because of trauma. Trauma survivor myself. So I
Mhm,
adapted in a lot of different ways. But what
sure.
I also saw is that a lot of people didn't really understand that they actually had childhood trauma because the way that we define it as a culture is usually something really big, like domestic violence, PTSD, like a hurricane or whatever. And we call that big T trauma, right?
Mhm,
But there's something called small t, little t trauma, that most people have. And it's those cumulative experiences that you have in those really important developmental stages in your
mhm,
life where you felt unseen, unheard, unsafe,
mhm,
other, different, and you start to change yourself in order to adapt to those circumstances. Like for me, being in school, having a learning difference, they didn't adapt for me. I had to adapt,
mhm,
and not only did it give me a great skill set, which I still use, but it also made me think that there was something wrong with me.
mm,
Right. So I spend a lot of time within my business educating people about what trauma is and what it isn't, because we have to be able to call a thing and see what it is so can
exactly.
change it. Which is
Yeah.
why it never occurred to me that money and trauma could be connected. It never
Mhm,
occurred to me that your business could be a manifestation of those trauma experiences that you have. And it's what led me to begin to work with people at that intersection of trauma and entrepreneurship and led to the entire business and career I have now. And if I had not been a therapist, a social worker, experienced my own trauma, had done my own trauma work personally, I had done therapy.
mhm,
I
mhm,
was a therapist, I had done therapy, but who's
right.
looking for trauma in your business? No one's looking for that. So I saw how was impacting my business as well. And that's been what I have been researching and studying ever since then. You absolutely must know who you are, what your experiences are, because they inform every decision, thought, feeling, experience that you are having, including in your business. I know the corporate world likes to tell you to leave your baggage at the door, leave who you are, don't bring
Mm,
that to work with
mhm,
you. I am sorry, it
mhm.
does not work that way. It just
No,
does
no,
not. Yeah, so
and
I've been calling that out for the past 10 years.
yeah, no, and I think about it, and I can say that during the Dare to Lead training that I did with you, you brought in an element of your trauma background into it, and it was an epiphany. And it wasn't big T, it was little t, how the interaction of my family is growing up. But I realized, oh, wait a second. All of a sudden, it was this huge light bulb that just went off. And I don't even think you knew about it. But then we walked through an exercise where I was able to just, I guess, be in a lot of ways thankful and also curious,
Mhm.
and then put it to bed.
Yeah.
And do things still pop up? Oh, sure. But,
Mhm.
it's having those skills that allow you to acknowledge and move on,
Mhm.
So yeah, well, thank you for that,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah. Oh, you're
um,
welcome. You're
you
welcome.
know
And I think that that's where you had asked about the therapy and coaching world is that I think sometimes coaches will default to saying, "Oh, that's just your mindset. You just need to change your mindset." And it's not that, it's a nervous system response. You can't tell people just to change their mindset or that they're in scarcity because of blah, blah, blah. Like that's reductive, and it's also very gaslighting,
Mm.
not
Yeah, I
trauma
mean,
informed.
no, no, not at all. And yeah, I've been told over the years some crazy stuff that it does. And it also leads a detrimental mark on the person who hears this because, it's my fault or what's wrong with me or all these sorts of things that, again, if you handle it and deal with it in an appropriate way and you're kind to yourself. Yeah. So it's so interesting. And I really think that and I went through a coaching program that we did actually have a whole section on trauma
Mhm.
and also really learning that sometimes you actually have to refer people to experts,
Mhm.
you know, that sometimes if they're not really at what is considered to be their baseline, you have
Yeah.
to refer them, which I think can be really hard in and of itself. Though I would think as an expert, it might be easier for you to say, you might want to talk to, in my experience or in my expertise, you might want to talk to. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Be hard. The scope of
yeah,
work for coaching can be hard. And I actually created a program called Do No Harm because I saw a lot of coaches who were not only doing harm to themselves with their business,
yeah,
because again, I talk about how your business can be an avenue for self-abuse if you're not careful, but
mhm.
also that they were doing harm to their clients in many different ways, not intentionally. It's just
Sure,
they
of
weren't
course,
trauma conscious. They weren't sure how they didn't know how they were working out their stuff with their clients, and also didn't have, I think, the understanding of what their values were and the boundaries to be able to make those referrals because they wanted to keep the client to themselves or they weren't sure where the scope creep
right,
was. And it's really easy to do harm unintentionally. We all do it. So it's important
sure,
to know,
sure.
where the boundaries are.
Yeah, which is, yeah, incredibly important.
Mhm.
And thinking about it, so for someone who's looking to become an entrepreneur or is in the early stages,
Mhm.
are there things that they should be looking at in themselves? It's like it would be great if there's like a checklist, you know, check this, check that. And of course there isn't because none of us come with manuals. We all
Mm-mm.
know
No.
that. Yeah. But are there things to look at as you begin, this journey that might be a flag or two or questions we should ask ourselves, I guess is really what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think so because what I saw in my research is that many people who wanted to be a business owner or entrepreneur, the reason to be one usually
Mhm.
could be traced back to some experience that they had. Again,
Mhm.
back in childhood or in a formative year where something happened that made them feel either unsafe or like they needed to want to be in control in their future. There's usually something that when they said, okay, I'm never going to feel that way again,
Mhm.
or that's not going to happen to me. I don't want to have that experience, and they make this unconscious decision
Mhm.
which leads to the desire to be the entrepreneur, the business owner, the boss.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I usually ask people, I'll ask them, I'm like, what is your deeper why? Not just I want
Mhm.
financial freedom, or my husband got laid off and I need to start, whatever that is. Like, let's put the money and the freedom of time, which I think is funny. When you own a business, like that's a lot of work. Let's just be honest. It is work. But let's put those aside. How is it that having a business or being an entrepreneur what is it you want it to do for you? How do
Mm.
you want to feel? What would you like for it to fix?
Mhm.
Is there something that you'll say, if I do this, then I will feel this way?
Mhm.
Then I will show someone that I can do something. Like, what is the deeper why around it? Not the Simon Sinek why, like the deeper
Right.
emotional need that is connected to that desire to be entrepreneurial. Right? Because
Oh.
there's usually something there that is emotional. I call it, and in my work, I call it emotional sustainability because there's usually something there, which is why in the coaching industry around particularly around business coaches, is that they'll have clients and they'll spin their wheels because they're not doing the homework or they're not getting ahead and they can't figure out what the problem is. And it's
Right.
because they're putting business solutions on emotional issues. Right.
Yes.
So I always say, like, first of all, check and see. you know, we'll educate you a little bit about what trauma is and isn't. What is
Right.
your deeper why for this business, this entrepreneurial journey that you want to go on? And what has been your experience in relationship with others? Because your business is something outside of you that you are entering a relationship with, right? It is not you, it is something outside of you that you are going to be relating to.
Yes.
So, what is the relationship you want to have with that business?
Oh. Huh.
I know it's kind of a lot to ask someone at the
Yeah.
beginning, but if everyone did that at the beginning of their
Well,
journey, things will be a lot different.
exactly. It's that really knowing yourself is
Mhm,
so important. And, it's interesting because you immediately just set off a couple of light bulbs in my head. I grew up feeling
mm,
very ordinary. And that continued. I didn't feel ordinary. We traveled as a family. So I didn't feel ordinary when we went to really cool places. I became a meeting planner. I traveled a lot. When I lost my job as a meeting planner after a lot of years, I went into travel. Surprise. And I also went into like the whole transformational thing.
mhm,
Why? Because it takes you out of being ordinary. And I hadn't really thought about that piece of it. Thank you.
mm.
This was a great session, by the way. You have the ability to unlock all sorts of things in my head. So thank you so much. But yeah, I hadn't really thought about it that
Mhm,
way.
yeah,
Yeah, and just it just happens. Love of learning is my
mhm,
character strength, which sort of ties all in with it. Yeah, wow. So
yeah,
yeah, I think these are absolutely invaluable questions to ask. And at the
mhm,
beginning, it does take a little digging, but it's so worth it
mhm.
when you figure out what it is you want.
Absolutely. Like, why not do it with intention? Why not do it with the most authentic and self-conscious in a good way version of yourself? Right?
Mhm,
Why let these default patterns be the thing that leads you through into your business? Why not? Because if you grew up feeling ordinary
mhm,
and being an entrepreneur is not ordinary, right? That's a cure for the underlying conscious belief about yourself.
mhm, mhm,
But if you've never had the experience of feeling not ordinary,
mhm.
your business is not going to fix that for you necessarily, right? You're just going to do one more thing, one more talk, one more program, one more
Right.
certification, trying to feel
Yes.
extraordinary,
Yes.
right?
I have lots of
But you
certifications.
don't know but your business and
Yeah.
you don't know that that's what you're looking for. So if
Yeah.
you know, hey, I
Yeah.
felt this way, it's a narrative I have, it actually led me to want to do this thing. And I know that my business cannot fix that unless I set it up to be a reflection of what I want. And then my business can help me feel that
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like my
Yeah.
business helps me feel smart. I didn't feel smart, growing up at all. No one expected me to graduate high school, much less go on and get a
Mhm.
master's degree. My business is a vehicle for that, and I know it. And so I curate it as opposed to
Mm.
feeling like I'm defaulting into, well, I need to do more stuff because I don't feel smart yet, right? Or I don't feel accepted yet, right? So
Yeah.
my business helps me heal that part because I know that that's what I'm looking for.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know that my why is it to be there for my loved ones. And I know that my business is one of the vehicles that helps me do the things, the action goals to being there.
Mhm,
So, yeah, it's all very interesting in how it's really an intricate puzzle. Well, we're intricate puzzles.
mhm,
But yeah, I do. I really love when entrepreneurs they want to do the work that leads them to truly be authentic,
mhm,
you know. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. And I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the entrepreneurial journey, and you think about if you've had challenges as a kid, like whether they're big T, little T trauma,
Mhm.
they really do create skill sets for being entrepreneurial. Like you have a high level of discomfort.
Yeah.
You learn to think out of the
Mhm.
box. You have a desire to have some control, right? And ownership. Do things yourself a lot.
Yeah.
And so it really can create an amazing opportunity if you can understand what's going on authentically for yourself. Like Brene Brown says, who you are is how you lead. It's the same thing as like
Mm,
who you are and the experiences that you had when they are recognized, acknowledged, and integrated are a part of how you are as a business owner or an entrepreneur. It'll feed what you value and it'll feed when you falter. It's going to have an impact on all those things.
yeah. And yeah, I wonder how does the dare to lead and the trauma, I mean, it is a natural fit, but I don't think that a lot of the dare to lead facilitators are trauma. No. So you're very unique.
No, no, I think it was a natural fit, which is why when Brene put a call out for people who wanted to come, will
Hmm.
apply, to come train with her to facilitate her Dare to Lead work. I had already read her book. I had read her other books. And, she started out as a shame researcher. So when you think about
Yes.
shame research and you think about, what is shame? It's trauma. Trauma and shame go right hand in hand.
They date.
They date, yeah. So I always really loved her work. And
Mhm.
when I got in there and started learning the frameworks, I'm like, oh no, this is all this is all trauma responses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's no way that I could facilitate it without it being through a trauma informed lens. Not
Yeah.
everybody does that. I also facilitate through kind of a neurodiverse
Hmm.
lens as well, because I think there's some things within the curriculum that are not very inclusive when it comes to neurodiversity.
Hmm.
So I always like to facilitate it through that lens, and I think other people who have other experiences, facilitate it through their lens as well. But when you think about growing up and having these experiences where you felt out of control or unseen, unheard, unsafe, what are we looking for? We're looking for tools,
Hmm.
right? And as you said
Exactly.
earlier, there is no handbook on being
Exactly.
human, and I really do
Mhm.
think that the Dare to Lead frameworks are very helpful in helping us learn how to have tools to be a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love them. I think that they're fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I know that I think that everyone in my world is sort of tired of hearing about swear squads.
Yeah.
But, and I realize that I have actually different post-its for sort of different groupings of people as well. My professional swear squad is not my personal swear, that kind
Mhm.
of thing. And there's no question, shitty first draft has
Mhm.
changed, I think, my marriage, my relationship with my kids,
Okay.
my business partner, because now it's not, it's, and maybe I'll let you elaborate on what that is as opposed to me throwing out a dirty word.
I mean, I love to hear this because that's what it is. If you don't mind sharing a little bit more about how it has changed things for you.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's like, so shitty first draft is whatever pops into your head
Mhm.
the first time something happens. So, for example, my husband will walk in the door and I'll be standing there and he'll immediately go and pet the puppy and he'll sigh.
Mhm.
And in my mind is like, why is he mad at me? Why is he mad at me? He
Mhm.
clearly is mad at me.
Mhm.
And if you do that like every day, it just becomes a program and then it builds. It's like
Mhm.
death by a thousand cuts.
Yeah.
So now I'll be like, well, I usually say good sigh, bad sigh. And he'll look at me and go, what are you talking about? I didn't even sigh. I said, you sighed. Oh,
Mhm.
it's just I'm breathing. Or shitty first draft, you're mad at me, or what's going
Mhm.
on?
Mhm.
Oh, I had a really rough day and I'm just happy to be home. Hey, you want to go for a walk with the dog or something like that?
Mhm.
And it diffuses. And even when I voxed with my business partner, actually, we had this, I don't know, this exchange, and she picks up the call and goes, shitty first draft, you're mad at me. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And we had this phenomenal conversation. And I even do it with the children, well, my teenagers, you know, I can't even remember what happened recently, but it was one of those situations where, oh, it was, shitty first draft. I'm tired of you using and abusing me. And they're
Mhm.
like, what are you talking about? Well, all you ever want is for me to show for you or something,
Mhm.
along those lines. And we ended up, it led to me letting my guard down, them letting their guard down, and us having a really good conversation.
Mhm.
So anyway, yeah, that's and that's just in the matter of a short period of time. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a great
and
example, yeah,
yeah,
of how
it's
the tools help.
yeah, and yeah, and I think the other big thing really is knowing who you can trust
Mhm.
and who is in your world that's small, because otherwise their opinions, and in the world we live in today, it's so important that whose opinion matters.
It does, it
Mhm.
does.
Yeah, and whose criticism matters.
Mhm.
Not that many people.
Yeah.
Not
And what I love about this, because I see through everything through a trauma conscious lens, is that the shitty first draft, or she says the story I'm making up is blah blah blah, and my shitty first
Mhm,
draft is always where we default to, right? It's the
mhm.
story we tell ourselves. It is where my nervous system will go when
Yep.
something, even just a sigh, can trigger an old wound. It really can. And so what I love about it is that that experience of he's sighing, what does that mean? That is a hypervigilant nervous system that is connected to trauma experiences. And rather than shaming yourself for the sigh being a trigger, you have language around it. You
Mhm.
have buy-in from him for the connection of the language around it, so that you can use a skill to support yourself and your nervous system, and just wrap yourself up in it, as opposed to feeling like there's something wrong with me because his size bothering me, or whatever it may
Yeah.
be. So what I love about the Dare to Lead tools, really and honestly, is that they give language, they give a skill, a behavior, self compassion around
Mhm.
all of the things that those traumatic experiences, even if they don't look traumatic to someone else, if it's your experience and it felt traumatizing to you, that it's a way forward to use something. And your square squad, when we've had
Mhm.
trauma, particularly relationships,
Mhm.
what do? We lose our ability to connect. But our nervous systems, we need each other. That's how we heal. We
Mhm.
heal in community. Our nervous systems co-regulate with each other. And if we don't have that, makes it very difficult for us to step into vulnerable places and to be more courageous. So with your square squad, they have your back. They are co-regulating with you. They're your community, and they're where you heal. And so those are great examples of why I, as someone who, was really invested in helping people understand and heal from
Mhm.
trauma, that, there are tools that you can use to do that.
Yeah.
And it's all about self-love and self-compassion, because your nervous system is doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, and, now I guess it's the whole somatic coaching, which I'm sure has been around for absolutely ever, but it just seems to be more buzzy these
Mhm.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's all about connecting. I think about it, it's the head, the heart, the gut. And if they're not in some level of unison, how do we then it's just, don't we ultimately want to be happy? And that sort of takes, or joy, or,
Mhm.
whatever deep emotion we want to feel, but it just sort of has to be connected.
They do, and literally they are connected by the vagus nerve, so
I know. It's like I can't separate the parts of
Yeah.
my body, no matter how much sometimes I'd like to.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. It's not as simple as it seems, is
Mhm.
it?
No, not really.
Yeah, and it takes work.
It does take
Um
work, and it people go through a phase, and you've probably seen this in your work too, that there's usually some awareness that happens first, then probably some self second guessing, and then maybe a little bit more awareness, and then
Mhm,
there's some readiness to maybe address it, and then there's some skill building and healing, and then there's integration, and then there's a little bit more healing. We won't get off this planet and in this life being healed. I don't think so, because I think that that's a hard thing to say. You are healed. There's always going to be a new level and a new layer of self awareness and of
mhm,
self discovery. So it's really, for me, it's much more a journey of self-discovery and getting to know yourself, but with so much love for yourself along the way, I think
mhm,
is what's the most important thing for people to focus on. Is this is normal. Whatever it is for you, it is normal. It's
mhm.
okay. Get to know yourself. It's okay. Don't judge
Yeah,
yourself.
and then you find people who, encircle you, that accept you for who you are, which is also, yeah,
Mhm.
not always easy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And to
You
go
know,
steady. Go
right,
steady, because our nervous systems only have capacity for so much at once.
or they let you know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you wrote a book,
Mhm,
and can you tell us a little
mhm.
about it and
Yeah.
any nuggets that you can share?
Yeah, so I wrote a book, and the book absolutely would not leave me the hell alone. So
Oh,
many people know I am not a writer. It's not
okay.
my skill. It is not where I enjoy expressing
Mhm.
myself most. In fact, it's the least effective tool I have for communication. But as I've been doing this work for so long, and I had this
Right.
my own experience around recognizing that I had created a business that was self-abusive because it
Mm,
was standing in for my mother, who I had a very contentious relationship with. And I
mhm.
recognized this whole thing of, oh shit, this is my business and no one else is here. And if I feel beat up by it, then I created it to do that. So why would I do that? You know,
Mm,
history, da, 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 you know, like this
right.
whole exploration. And so I've been using these tools and this theory and framework with my clients for quite a long time. And every time people would say, "Oh, you need to come talk," or "Oh, you need to give this talk, that talk, whatever." They would immediately say, "Well, do you have a book?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't have a book." So eventually, I got around to allowing myself to write the book, and I enlisted the help that I knew I was going to need with a ghost editor who literally
Oh, great,
I
great.
gave her the framework, the manuscript, the outline, and she would
Mhm.
ask me questions based upon what I gave her, and I would verbally tell her, and she helped me
Fantastic.
compile them into the book,
Sure.
and that was really the only way it would have gotten wrote. And I like to say that to people that, I know that I have a difference of learning and processing. And
Sure.
so it's okay to honor that and get the help that you need in order to create the thing.
Of
So,
course.
but
Yeah.
everything in there is mine. It's like, she just helped me consolidate it. But this book, it is really all about my story. It's about
Mhm.
the clients I've worked with. There's case study in there. And there's an exercise at the end of every chapter. But the theory in the book is that you are in a relationship with your business, and with the
Mhm.
intention you can have a positive and healthy one. And if you don't have that intention and awareness, you are going to default into patterns of behavior in relationships that you have had in your past,
Okay.
right?
Interesting.
Yes. And
Yes.
so there's everything in the book there. There's all these exercises about, writing a love letter to your business writing when you to you back. And but it really does start out with my own story of realizing that because of my own trauma, I had
Mhm.
created a
Mhm.
business that was being abusive to me, and that
Wow.
I set it up to be that way.
Yeah. And how long had you been in business before writing the book or before realizing
About
this?
2.5 years. Yeah.
Okay.
I was two
Okay.
and a half years in. I was doing mostly money mindset coaching at that point.
Okay.
Happy clients contributing
Sure.
to my household. There was no reason for me to feel like I was not successful, but I felt every morning when I woke up that I was failing and
Oh,
that
yeah.
it wasn't working. And there was no evidence for that. I remember Brene says, look for the evidence. There was no evidence of that. And so I was trying to figure out, well, if I'm feeling like this, why? Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like a failure, or that I'm letting this invisible day down?
Sure.
And so
Sure.
I took my clinical skills and experience and realized that it felt that way because I had set it up to be that way,
Mhm.
because I
Mhm.
had defaulted into a pattern of feeling abused by an authority. And in this
Mm.
scenario, my business was the authority.
Oh, wow.
And it's, all that. So I'm happy to say I changed my relationship with my business from a
That's
mean
fabulous.
boss to a nurturing and loving partner.
So can I ask how long did that process take?
Yeah. For me, it was relatively quick because I'm curious, and
Mhm.
once I saw it, I saw it. I'd say
Mhm.
it probably took about a 6-month period from that
Okay.
moment of awareness,
Right.
the curiosity and the kind of research and sitting with it,
Mhm.
and then starting to
Mhm.
integrate what I knew as a clinician to be true. Well, if
Mhm.
it's a
Mhm.
relationship, then what do we do to fix the relationship?
Right.
Right? We
Right.
can either let it go, or we can do the
Yeah.
work to stay. And so I did the work to figure that out. And that's where a lot of the exercises in the book come from. But for me, it took me about 6 months to write the show.
Okay. Which in the scheme of things is not very long. surely not very long.
It isn't. It isn't.
Yeah.
And I have clients who decide not to stay.
Uh-huh.
They find that the business that they created was because someone else thought they should, or it wasn't
Mhm.
what they wanted. And so
Right. Right.
their love letter ends up being a goodbye, a Dear John letter to their business, as opposed to let's work this
Yeah.
out and figure it out. But they're much happier and build a new business that's really aligned with what they want and not what their
Right.
trauma told them they needed.
That's yeah. And that's really the critical piece here.
Mm.
And I think about it, curiosity is also one of my character strengths. And I really lean into that because I found, and I actually, now that I'm getting older, I realize that my curiosity increases and my judgment. So, and I would assume that you had that sort of relationship that all of a sudden I'm not judging myself as much because I'm curious,
Mhm.
which leads to learning.
Yeah, absolutely. I do not. My business is not a vehicle for any kind of reflection back on me that is not positive. If
That's
something doesn't happen in the business, it's like, well, it just wasn't meant to be, or we need to
Mhm.
change some copy, or it's
Yeah,
never a condemnation of my value or worth ever
yeah,
anymore, because the curiosity helped me understand what was happening, and I shifted it. So it's my business will never be that for me. It will only be a positive. It'll can be hard,
right.
but it will be a
Yeah,
supportive and positive experience because my value is not connected to it anymore.
and I mean, based on your expertise, is that what you recommend for people as well?
Your
That
business that you are not your business.
yeah,
If it does great, you're fantastic. If it doesn't do so great, you're still
you're still
fantastic,
fantastic.
right? It is not a reflection of your value or your worth.
Yeah,
It just isn't. So
yeah. Yeah, thinking about it, I probably, I think about the travel world and then COVID hit. And I guess I was kind of lucky because I was already thinking that this wasn't the direction I really needed to be going in.
mhm.
Yet I could blame it on COVID.
Heck, why not?
It was, well, yeah, why not? I mean, not, yeah, there had to be some blessing in that horrible. Anyway, yeah. So, is there anything that you would like to leave, any last thoughts or pearls of wisdom for our viewers? Because I have to tell you, this has been really a fantastic conversation and one that we don't have enough of. We
Mhm.
absolutely do not talk about this enough. And it's so, so important.
Yeah, I really think that if people can understand that we do not drop our baggage at the door when we start a business, all of it comes with us.
Mhm.
If we bring all of our skill sets and experience with us, we're going to bring the other stuff with us too. And that's okay.
Right.
Just really acknowledging it and understanding it and being curious about it will help you create a life and business that is not led by
Hmm.
those things. It could be influenced because that's how it works, but not
Sure.
necessarily led
Sure.
by it. So be curious about that. Don't be afraid to look at that thing that happened when you were in third grade at school where you got bullied. That totally could be, working against you in your business. All these things are relevant, and
Mhm.
do it through a lens of self-compassion. Like
Mhm.
you are your most important employee in your business. You are
Mhm.
the most important, not your clients, not who you
Right.
are. You are the most important thing and most important person. So treat yourself with kindness and love, not the last person in the
Yeah.
business, right? So take care of yourselves and nurture yourself and let your business be a way to nurture yourself.
And I would also think that if you do the exploration and come up with things, seek out an expert.
Mhm.
Not everyone is able to help people work through traumas, and whether it be generational or
Mhm.
childhood or whatever it may be. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited because we'll be leaving all of your information in the
Yeah,
show.
I always say you can't read your own label. You got to get
Yeah,
someone else to help you out with
that's right.
it. Me too. I have my own coach, my own therapist, yeah, don't do it
Yeah,
yourself. You don't need to. Don't have to.
no. Yeah, and actually, I think ultimately it saves you a lot of, whether you want to look at it as time, money, energy, whatever it is, to actually have someone help you work through things a lot faster than if you end up dwelling for years.
Yeah. And as
And I
Bernie
think I
says,
know
we're
that.
wired for connection, right? We heal together. So it won't be as effective if you try and do it yourself.
Wow. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're
And
welcome.
again, I will be leaving all of your information in the show notes. And also, there is, where is it? I have it. Also, be sure to sign up because you're actually doing a masterclass, a trauma and entrepreneurship waha masterclass that I don't think anyone should miss.
No,
So,
definitely sign up for the Trauma and Entrepreneurship Month Masterclass. It's important.
so thank you.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating.
But only if you liked it. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself.
You can learn more about our upcoming masterminding opportunities on our website at serendipitousrebel.com.
And if you have topics you'd like to hear about, be sure to submit them on our website or DM us on social media.
Hey, see you next week. Bye.
Bye.